If you've ever been frustrated using grain brushes in Procreate, when you get that big seam in the texture of the grain, let me show you how to make your own seamless grain brush in Procreate right now. And we're gonna use only the built-in tools that Procreate already has in order to make it. So I'm going to show you how to make your own seamless grain brush. I was inspired by a customer on Etsy to make this video and an entire seamless grain brush set, and I have linked this new grain brush set in the description box down below if you want a complete and already made brush set with lots of brushes in it. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make one. So we're starting off with a square canvas, and I've set mine to 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels in 300 dpi, and it's important that you use a square canvas because we need to make a seamless pattern of our grain in order to make a seamless grain brush. And like I said, we're only using the built-in tools already in your Procreate to create this one. So go ahead and go to your brush library and go to spray paints and choose flicks, because we're going to base the grain of our new brush on this brush right here, or a pattern that we make with it. And the color of your brush is going to need to be a gray, and I'll add this hex code in the description box down below if you want to use this exact gray, but it can really be any level of the grayscale, just not too light and not too dark. If it's too dark or black, it's not going to be picked up in the brush library to create a grain from. I'm going to size up a little more, and it's okay if you go over the edge, so I'm going to go ahead and just lay some flicks all over my canvas. So that's good right there. And now we need to make a seamless pattern out of this. So in my layer stack, I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna put it below my original layer with my flicks on it. And I'm just gonna fill this with a random color. To make a continuous edge, we need to take this layer and move it to the exact edges of the canvas. And we need a layer to guide us in order to do that. So first of all, I'm going to make my continuous edge on my left side and my right side of my canvas. And to do that, I'm going to create another layer of this background color and another layer of my flicks. And then I'll divide the background color to each of my flicks layers. So now let's select our first two layers and then go to the Move and Transform tool. And then you'll want to go to Snapping, turn on magnetics, and turn up distance and velocity pretty high up. I don't always turn them all the way up, but pretty high up. And now we're ready to move this across our screen. So I'll do the left side first. And you'll need to make sure that you get this orange crossbar down the middle and crossing in the center. And we'll repeat that for the other side. And they'll turn to blue sometimes. And now I'll take those two layers and I'll group them together and then just flatten them. Flatten that one and duplicate again, because we're going to do that again. We're going to move this to the top and bottom of our canvas now. So now we have our continuous edge on each edge of our canvas, but we do need to clean up a little bit because that is going to be an obvious edge in the seamless pattern of the grain. It's going to make it not seamless in that case because that's obviously a seam. So what I do is I just go to the selector tool and I choose the freehand selector, and you can just remove these ones that create an obvious edge. So you'll just want to go along the entire vertical center and the horizontal center and find these areas where it creates an obvious edge. So now what you can do is you can fill these areas that are now missing a splotch. You can take that freehand lasso tool again or freehand selector tool again and just copy and paste some of these and just move them, and they can overlap these other splotches, but you'll just not want to cross over the edges at all because you have to repeat that on the other side. So just stay within the center of your canvas and you should be fine. And this is a totally optional step, but if you want to fill in these spaces, feel free to do so. And so once you've moved those around, you just want to flatten all of those layers because in my case, I copied and pasted them and then moved them around. And so I just want to make sure that all of my layers are flat now. Now we have the basis of our seamless grain. That's all it takes. And so I'll just delete this background layer. And now we're ready to make our brush. So I'm just going to select my layer and copy it and go to my brush library. Now in a brush set, I'm just going to tap on this plus sign here. And let's go ahead and code our brush so that it creates a grain brush. The first thing I want to change is the shape. And I'm going to go to Edit, and then Import, and then go to the source library. And the shape source that I want is called Medium Hard. And this is just going to create a sort of soft edge on the brush. And then I'll tap on Done. And now we're ready to set the grain. So first I'll go to Edit, and then Import and Paste. So now the grain that we created is right here. And I will tap on Done. So we do want our grain behavior set to moving, movement set to rolling, and I want to change the scale to 45%. And that's a personal preference. You can set the scale of the grain however you want, and these other settings can be left as default. Additionally, all of the other default settings on the brush can be left as is. But let's go ahead and go to Properties, and I do want to change the maximum size. I'm going to set this all the way up to anywhere past 800. This doesn't have to be precise, and you can adjust it any way you want. And now we can go to About Brush, and we can rename it Seamless Flicks. And tap on Done. And now we can test out our brush. So I'm going to choose black for just testing it out and add a new layer. We have our seamless flicks, and now we have our seamless grain brush. So now you can create a grain, and it's not going to have that hard edge or annoying seam as you're wanting to add grain to your illustrations. And if you want a fun project to make using grain brushes, go ahead and click on this video. It's called Learn to Use Grain Brushes in Procreate. It's a really fun project, and I will see you there.